solemnly swear affirm that the testimony you shall give this court should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
May proceed. Please state yourself for the record.
My name is Stephen Sneiderman, S-T-E-V-E-N. Sneiderman is S-N-E-I-D-E-R-M-A-N.
You may proceed, Mr. James.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is the second time that I've had the duty to speak to you on behalf of my parents, Marilyn and Don Sneiderman, as well as my wife, Lisa, and my daughter, Samantha, about the impact of the crimes committed around the death of my brother, Rusty Sneiderman. The last time I stood before you was to address the acts of the evil man who pulled the trigger that took my brother's life in such a brutal fashion. Now I find myself in the very unusual position of returning now to speak about the betrayals of another person and the devastation and havoc she has intentionally inflicted on our lives. First, and most importantly, I want to remind you about the one person that some of the parties in this case seem to have forgotten about, my brother, Rusty Sneiderman. It is painful to realize that for most, he is just another victim, someone that they heard about some time ago, that guy who got shot at the daycare. His life, however, was so much more than that. He was special. Rusty was a caring, thoughtful person who always put his own needs second and looked for a way to make your life better, whether through charitable work, professional networking, or just being there to give you a hand with something that needed to be done. He wanted things to be better for you, to help lift you up. How cruel that those he tried to help betrayed him so greatly. Rusty was smart and hardworking, relentless. He achieved success at every level of his life. Sometimes it was through intellect, but when it wasn't enough, he would simply keep working until he got it done. There was always time for one more call, one more email, one more internet search. How cruel that he had the misfortune to come across these sinister characters who found the only way to stop him. Rusty was a good family man. He pushed himself to provide for his wife and his family, and he succeeded, achieving more by age 36 than most achieve in a lifetime. It wasn't about the stuff, though, Your Honor. It was about building the best possible life for his family. How cruel that such good fortune wasn't enough for some people. Rusty was a devoted son, brother, and uncle. 800 miles meant nothing to him. He wanted to be a part of our lives up in Cleveland, and he wanted us more involved down here. Whatever the issue, he could solve it and make it work. How cruel that someone thought he was the problem. Rusty was a wonderful, devoted father. Sophia and Ian were always at the forefront of his thoughts. His smile, that radiant smile, was never bigger or brighter than it was playing with his kids or teaching them about something they saw. He had an ability to discipline them good-naturedly, lovingly rousing a child who wasn't listening by simply calling, "Hey, Fred," which always brought them back to task with a smile. It must be in the delivery, since it's never worked for me. He has had so much love and wisdom that he was committed to give to his kids. How cruel that someone who should have known better than anyone else took this path instead. I could go on and on. He was irreplaceable, and the void he leaves is vast. Make no mistake, Rusty Sneiderman was a special, special person, Your Honor, and that's something that we must not lose sight of as we conclude this process. Let's compare Rusty to the defendant. She thinks she is special, but she is not. She's a common criminal, lawfully convicted in this court of 9 separate felonies. What have we learned about her? She lied, just like we always knew it, just like everyone knew it. She lied to her family. She lied to her friends. She lied to Rusty. Then Rusty was brutally taken from us, and she lied some more. She lied to her family. She lied to her friends. She lied to us. She lied to the police as they were investigating his murder. Then they arrested her boss and lover, and she lied some more. She lied to her family and her friends. She lied to us. She lied to the police as they were building a case to convict the shooter. She lied to the prosecutors who would seek justice for Rusty. Then they tried her boss and her lover, and she lied some more. She sat in this very chair, Your Honor, And she lied to her family and her friends. She lied to us. She lied to the jury that would decide the shooter's fate. She lied to you, Your Honor. Time and again, it was more important for this criminal to protect herself and her lover rather than find and convict her husband's killer. We knew it then, and we know it to a legal certainty now. These were not little lies. These were covering her role in the death of Rusty Sneiderman, her husband, the father of her children. Her pathetic narcissism would be almost comical if it weren't tied to the death of such a special person. Most criminal conduct impacts numerous people, and this particular criminal is certainly no different. Her repeated and willful disregard of the truth for so long has left a wide swath of destruction in its path. It has devastated multiple families. Obviously, Rusty paid the ultimate price for her conduct. Without her lies and betrayals prior to his death, Rusty would still be with us and his children. For that conduct, she will have to answer to a higher authority someday. But here in your court, Your Honor, we urge you to keep the results of her conduct that led her to lie in the forefront of your deliberations. A very special man is gone because of her actions, and all she can do is lie about it again and again. Self-preservation is the only thing on her mind. Look at my parents, Your Honor. I know you know who they are. You've seen them here every day in the trial of the shooter, and every day of this trial as well. While they carry themselves with the uncommon composure and dignity that comes from a place of strength I cannot comprehend, make no mistake, they have been tortured by this common criminal for nearly 3 years. They were forced to bury their son, a burden no parent should ever have to face, and then forced to relive the trauma over and over again, day after day, as a direct result of the repeated and willful lies of this common criminal. To have to sit through one trial is an incredible burden. To have to sit through a second time, all because this liar did not want to be held accountable for her conduct, is simply cruel. My wife and I have faced a similar pain, Your Honor. The loss of my brother has been devastating to me. I still want to talk to him, to bounce ideas off of him, to hear that goofy laugh, but I won't get that chance again, ever again. That is my problem, Your Honor, and I have to deal with it, but my family has to deal with me. I'm blessed that Lisa never gave up on me the way the defendant gave up on Rusty. But that doesn't make either of our lives any easier. Unlike my parents, my wife and I aren't retired, so we've had to juggle 2 careers, our daughter's needs, in a world that doesn't understand why we haven't moved on, while we try to heal and cope with our new realities. But we have not even had the chance to start to heal because of this criminal. Her repeated and willful lies have meant that every day is filled with another challenge, another Google alert, another pleading, another question, another explanation to my parents. As if our family has not suffered enough, we must be subjected to one final indignity. Before we can have final sentence from this court, Your Honor, we will be forced to watch a parade of this criminal's pathetic enablers come forward again and demand special treatment for her. They will be up here shortly to do what they have been told to do by this convicted felon. Consistent with her past conduct, this criminal, this master manipulator, will use anyone to say anything to let her slither away from responsibility. They likely will tell you this is somebody else's fault, or the Andrea we knew could never do such a thing, or simply beg for your mercy. Most likely, however, they will stress to you her amazing parenting skills and how much her children need her. Being a mom does not create a lower standard of conduct for people. If anything, it should be a higher standard. The defendant's callous disregard for Rusty's life and the prosecution of her lover, the evil man who took him away from his kids, shows how she fails to meet any standard. Parenting is a privilege, not an excuse. A real parent puts themselves between their children and harm. They do not cower behind them and use them as a human shield to protect them from the consequences of their own actions. Finally, I expect the defendant herself to finally speak in her contrived, soft-spoken voice. How many times has our family been forced to hear her defender say, just wait till she tells her side of the story?
Miller, I'm sorry, I'm going to object. I mean, he's certainly entitled to
Yes, sir.
talk about whatever impact this has had upon his family, and I have no objection, and I have tried to give him a great degree of latitude, but he is simply making an argument and drawing conclusions, and I do not believe that is appropriate, and I am going to object.
I'm going to sustain that objection. Mr. Sneiderman, you are allowed to tell me the impact it has upon your family. I'm going to sustain the objection that's made by Mr. Clegg at this point in time.
Very well, sir.
Anything else you want to tell me at this time, sir?
It's been over 1,000 days since Rusty's death. This means that this defendant has had more than 1,000 chances to do the right thing, to come clean and make sure that justice was done for Rusty and his children. Yet for 1,000 days, she's done no such thing. Instead, more than 1,000 times, she looked at the situation and made a conscious, willful, and criminal decision to continue to lie. More than 1,000 times, she decided to put herself and everyone around her, including my family, through another day of pain and suffering, another day of questions instead of answers, another day of conflict instead of healing. More than 1,000 times, she stared at the choice between right and wrong and made the same choice again and again and again and again. We will always be left with the question of why. Why would someone go to such lengths to avoid the truth if she didn't have something else to hide? Why would someone continually deny these facts in the face of such stark evidence to the contrary? Why would someone cling to these lies, even if it was clear that such actions were to her own detriment? Common sense tells you that there's only one rational answer. The question of why she repeatedly chose to protect her lover and herself instead of pursuing justice for Rusty.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to interpose the same objection.
All right. Mr. Steiner, I'm going to sustain that objection. I have no problems in listening to anything else you want to tell me about the impact upon your family. It was a valid objection. I sustained it.
Very well, Your Honor.
Anything else you want to tell me, sir?
I have many more things that I want to tell you, but I doubt that they would satisfy Mr. Clegg. So on behalf of the entire Sneiderman family, we thank you for the opportunity to be heard.
Mr. Snyder, don't make it personal. The lawyer just stood up, made his objection. Don't refer to him by name. Anything else you want to tell me about the impact upon your family? I'll give you as much time as you need.
On behalf of the entire Sneiderman family, we thank you for the opportunity to be heard on this
One
matter.
second. Mr. Clegg, any questions?
I have no question, Chairman.
Stand up, Mr. Clegg, if you're going to address this court.
I have no question, sir.
All right. You may come down, sir.